It's the McShay Show, presented by FanDuel. The NFL Draft is right around the corner, and FanDuel is the best place to get in on all the action. The app is safe, secure, and easy to use. FanDuel always has exclusive offers. When you win, you'll get paid instantly. And FanDuel has a lot of ways to bet the draft, with loads more coming between now and the first pick. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and make every moment more during the NFL Draft. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about resources and helplines available. And listen to the end of this episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Mock 2.0 is here, and I'm here for it, quite literally.
Me too, McShay.
There's 35 days until the NFL Draft. Muench, you good?
I'm good, man.
All right, wake me up, Tuck. All right, mock drafts are fun. Mock drafts are challenging. Mock drafts are time-consuming. But above all, mock drafts are a valuable exercise. And I got a little trade secret for you, for everyone out there listening and watching, and we appreciate that you're doing so. NFL GMs do them too. They don't like to talk about it because there's such a stigma around the mock draft. But they do them. And yeah, they don't have all the text and the graphics and the different things and the bells and whistles that we have. But they do them, and they do them over and over again. They do them on phone conversations. I've done them with plenty of GMs, dozens and dozens of time, whether it's the top 5 picks, top 7. All right, let's get picks 8 through, let's get to this range. They do them. It's a valuable exercise. And what happens is you're sharing information, you're working through it. And for a GM, they play out different scenarios. It's all about scenarios, right? It's not that different from being a quarterback in the league. It's film preparation, starting with self-assessment. Then it's film preparation of the opponent. What are the reads I'm going to get when it comes to the game time? How do I then transfer it from the film room and the meeting room for the individuals and the offense to the field and practice? And then how do I transfer that from the field of practice during the week to the game and Sunday? And so general managers do it to be prepared. So when something happens, 2 picks, 3 picks, 5 picks before them, or 1 pick before them, they're prepared for it. They've seen it all, right? So I thought today, Mock 2.0 has dropped, if you will. Mock 2.0 and the McShay Report, the newsletter, is out. And I spent a lot of time this week. I call them sources, talk to friends in the league. What are you hearing? Let's walk through the scenario and do all that, right? And I want to walk through the scenarios, and I want to do combination picks, okay? Because that's what everyone wants to talk about. Well, if we do this here, what's going to be available in round 2? You know, do we trap ourselves if we take a player from this position here, even though the grade is right up there? But are we better off taking a similar grade at pick number 6, 7, 8, 9, and then at pick 42, 43, 44, we're going to get a better value at the other position, right? So I want to go through scenarios and combos through some of these picks as we go through my mock 2.0. But first, we got a little housekeeping, as we always do. Not much. The McShay Report. Google it. Google it. It's the easiest way to find it. Everyone tells me. All the people in the Spotify and the Ringer tell me, just tell everyone to Google it. You can find it first thing that pops up. Subscribe to it, please. Help support us. The continued support is unbelievably appreciated. It's $4. This is going to be one of those paid ones. We do a free one each week, and we do a paid one each week. And this is one that's going to cost you to get on for obvious reasons. $4 through this draft, $36 through this draft and next year's draft. It's called
Double down.
There you go, Muench. Stevie boy, tell the folks that are watching this show how they can continue to support us.
You got to hit the follow button on Spotify. You got to hit the subscribe button when you're on the YouTube channel. Follow us on our social accounts at McShay13, at Muench. That's Muench. Listen, I need some followers. It doesn't look good right now. I need a boost there.
You're growing though. I'm watching.
It's starting to build a little bit. I gotta get back to Marissa so she can help me out. Also, consider subscribing to the McShay Report. You're gonna get this kind of stuff, this kind of information, and he doesn't take it lightly. Like I said earlier in the last one, he's going to do his best to deliver. He doesn't take it lightly that you're spending some of your hard-earned money on his information.
I appreciate it. You keep getting better and better at this every time. All right, man, so let's do it. Like I love this stuff. Like this is we put in all the tape work. We have all the conversations so that we can. I don't know. This is kind of the payoff, the fun part. It's like, all right, now let's talk about it. If this happens,
what can happen?
So I want to break it into a couple sections today. Okay, first of all. Yep. At the top of the board, not going to give away every single pick. Go read the report, please. But I want to go through a handful of picks, and quite honestly, at this point in the process, to me, it's more fascinating. What are the scenarios? How could if this is like sliding doors? You ever see that movie? Dating myself, and it's kind of embarrassing that I watched. But like sliding doors, like if you choose this path, this is how your life's going to work out.
Yeah.
If you choose this path, though, it could be a whole different life. You could turn out to have a whole different, journey, as people like to say these days. My least favorite word in the modern vocabulary.
Your path.
Tennessee at 1. I don't think there's any secret or question, and I'm not sitting here trying to like bait people to go, but like we're not going to get into every single pick. If you want to go see it, you know where to get it. But I think it's obvious everyone's going with Cam Ward to Tennessee at this choice, right?
Yep.
So with that in mind, we have 35 days to discuss Cam Ward, his strengths, his weaknesses. We've done a lot of that before. We'll do a lot more. And as we continue to get information, there will be times to stop down and talk about Brian Callahan, his development with Joe Burrow, what he can offer to Cam Ward, what Cam Ward has to offer to the Tennessee Titans organization. For today, though, I'm much more interested in, okay, what does this mean now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're Cleveland, and we spent we spent about a half hour on last show. If you haven't checked it out, go to the YouTube page, Spotify page, Apple. You can listen, you can watch on those different outlets and any other place that you get your podcasts. But we spent a lot of time on why I think Shedeur Sanders is absolutely in play at number 2.
Right.
And real Cliff Notes, purgatory with the salary cap because of Deshaun Watson. The cap isn't going to change next year either. They're not in the market this year or next for a big-time free agent that can come in and solve a lot of these woes, right?
Right.
They also, if Stefanski, the head coach, and Andrew Berry, the general manager, are picking this high again, if this organization is picking this high again next year and could be in a spot to draft a Garrett Nussmeier or whomever the top quarterback is going to be a year from now, they might not have their job. So there's we got to win enough now and have enough promise for the future in order to have our jobs, but what's also best for the organization. And so when we look at Shedeur Sanders at 2, Stefanski's one of a handful of guys in the league that can walk into the CEO's office with a resume that says, I can do it. Right. And that's what we talked about the other day. I'm not going to go into all the numbers, the 11 wins in one season with this guy, 10 wins in the next different season with Kirk Cousins and, all the guys, but pocket passers without great arms, without great mobility, who process fast. That's Shedeur Sanders. That's what Stefanski's won with. So it makes sense. But Cleveland's still sitting there trying to figure out, all right, how are we going to do the winning now? Kenny Pickett is a good backup. Who knows? Maybe we hit on something there, but let's bring him in. But we hear a lot of Russell Wilson talk, and we hear, Kirk Cousins, right? And maybe potentially making a deal with Atlanta to free them up of some of the salary cap stuff that they can't afford, but make it favorable to Atlanta at the same time with draft pick compensation, maybe and/or a player. Okay. So those are all the things that are on the table right now for Andrew Berry. The one thing Andrew Berry can't control is what Tennessee does with that number 1 pick, unless he's willing to give up a ton to move up one spot and go get Cam Ward. And that would only be a possibility if Tennessee decides that Cam Ward's not their guy, which we're not tracking towards as we see it right now. Okay.
Right.
So with all that said, I want to present to you this, Muench. You're Andrew Berry. You're the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. I've just explained to you why Shedeur can work. Now, you have your own evaluation on Shedeur. You know his weaknesses. Okay.
Right.
As Cleveland does. They're picking at 2. They pick again at the top of the second round, 33. And they also have 2 more picks in round 3, in 67 and 94. So 4 picks in the top 94 overall. Okay. Just focusing on the first 2 picks, right? I want you to take a look at what do we need if we're Cleveland? We need a quarterback, right? A running back, edge. To me is interesting because, like an additional edge. It's not this glaring need, obviously. They just spent all the money on Myles Garrett. They've got some bullets in the holster, but they in the chamber, gun in the holster. but it certainly could elevate that defense, right?
Right.
I also think linebacker and wide receivers are positions that they could be targeting early on. Okay, so those are the positions. Those are the picks. If I tell you, knowing the draft board the way you do, that you could have Shedeur and Quinshon Judkins,
right?
Or Shedeur and Jaden Higgins, Iowa State wide receiver.
Okay.
Or Shedeur and James Pierce Falls from Tennessee.
Interesting.
But more likely,
you have my attention.
More likely, like a Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. Probably much more likely of that. Okay. Now on the flip side, you can have Abdul Carter. And Jaxson Dart's coming off the board in the first round. You can have Louisville's Tyler Shuck. What would you take?
I would take Shuck and Carter without hesitation. But that's that's not real world to me. Because you don't know. You don't know. Because you know that Dart's going now. I mean, Mel's got him going 9 now. He's a top 10 quarterback, according to Mel now. So he's going 9 to the Saints. So now you've got 3 quarterbacks off.
Whoa. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
You can't just throw that shit in and think I'm not going to respond.
Well, listen. Well, go ahead. I give you a response, but my point stands. Go ahead.
Well, it was the way you stated it, right? He's a top 9. What'd you say? Top 9 quarterback,
top 10 quarterback, yeah.
Top 10 quarterback now.
Top 10 pick, yep.
I don't think it's totally absurd that Jaxson Dart goes in the top 10, given the quarterback position. Given that there's outside after Shuck, like they're all gambles, right? History tells us it's actually. History really tells us, and it gets skewed by last year's results. History tells us it's like a 40-60 gamble. Yeah, like a 40. I think the numbers were like 44% in the first round.
Right.
Chance of hitting on a quarterback. Okay. Like getting a second contract with the quarterback, however the numbers were done. It was in the 40% range. But it's a much bigger gamble after the first 4, in my opinion. Right.
Yeah.
So Jaxson Dart, no, he doesn't have a grade that's equivalent, but I've got him in the 20s. I've got him like 28 or something like that in my top 100.
That's fair.
And I like him a lot. So I could see him going. I think that's the absolute earliest, and I don't think it's likely to happen. But that's kind of the jumping off point for Dart. But interestingly enough, like if that's a jumping off point, is a big fall to the next spot, which is 21 to the Steelers, and I'm not sure that they would even do that after doing that with Kenny Pickett. I think the Rams are interesting late first. I think the Giants trading back in, and we'll get to that later in my mock draft for a quarterback would be interesting. I don't think it signals, and I'm never here to defend my guy, Mel. I don't think it signals that he thinks he's a top 10 player and belongs in the top 10. But I did think it was a little rich, but I considered it too. I truly did, because you got to understand Derek Carr, and we'll get to the Saints in a minute. But Derek Carr they restructured his deal. He's back for 1 year, secure for another year. But like, what is Derek Carr?
I know.
Truly.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you take this opportunity as an organization? Again, no one expects to be picking this high again next year, but there are some teams you look at and say, it's not likely they're going to be drafting the top 10. Cleveland, to be honest, weirdly enough, more so than maybe even the Saints, in my estimation. But carry on. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist bringing in Mel's mock into your mock show. Just too good. So let's just say that happens though, right? Let's say the Darko's 9.
I appreciate you.
All those 3 quarterbacks are gone. So you're sitting there and you're like, oh no, the plan is we got Abdul Carter. The plan is we're gonna get Tyler Shuck in the top of the 2nd round. That's, we're good. And then you got to wait to hope the Steelers don't take him. You got to wait and hope that someone doesn't trade back in to get him. I mean, Tyler Shuck, there's a reason why he's where he is on the board, which is late 1st, early 2nd kind of range. The reason is he's had a hard time staying healthy. But if you look at his medical and you feel good about it, there's enough tape and there's enough talent for you to say to yourself, I could see how this works. I could see this kid being a long-term starter in the league and being a really good player. And I'm guessing you're not the only guy in the league. If you feel like that, if you're feeling like that in your Cleveland, you're not the only team in the league feeling that too. So I just don't I think it's a false choice. I don't think you can say, I'm going to take Carter and then get Shuck. Well, then you better be ready to move up to get Shuck, and you better be ready to move ahead of the Steelers. Because maybe the Steelers don't do it. Maybe they don't do it because of Pickett, whatever. I think that Shuck is probably a better prospect than Kenny Pickett was. I really believe that. So, you're starting to play. Yeah, you're playing with fire, man. So that's kind of a false choice to me. And I'm taking Shedeur Sanders in the real world because you cannot wait. You have to get your quarterback.
But let me ask you this question. Are you, and I don't want to get bogged down on one, but I love this conversation. Are you Andrew Berry, who just got the job and has 6 years on his contract? Or are you Andrew Berry in the real world, like today's current, climate and his situation?
Real world. I think you got to do it. And listen, I've said forever that it's to me.
So you're telling me you just took this job. Mm-hmm. You just took this job. Is that let's say Andrew Berry got fired after last year. Okay. Yep. But Stefanski's still your coach. You're the brand new general manager of the Cleveland Browns, and you're secure.
Right.
You got nothing to worry about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're passing on Abdul Carter, the best player in this draft, to draft a quarterback that we all see the flaws in, but we all see the positives too. In Cleveland, with that arm strength, you got time to build. You're passing on. There's no such thing as a sure thing. I mean, he's undersized. Right. He had the shoulder injury. He has a foot injury that we're all waiting to see at Penn State. So, no player is a sure thing.
Right.
But on tape, he's as close as it's going to come. Pretty close,
I get it. Listen, I love him. He's the number 1 player on my board. It's the best player in the draft, and you're going to pass on him. And you have to have a quarterback.
And he's a pass rusher. He's not a linebacker. He's not a safety. Right. He's not even a cornerback or a wide receiver. He's he's the second most outside of quarterback. He's at the position that you covet the most.
Yeah. But if you really want a pass rusher, this is a pretty, listen, I get it. It's Abdul Carter's different. He's different. I think he is really a different kind of talent. So I get it. And I've said a lot of times on the show that you build from the inside out, and that's how you do it. But I look at their roster, and it's not a pressing need for them to get this guy. And I'm looking at them wanting to be competitive in that division, that tough division. I think you got to take another swing at a quarterback. I just think you have to do it. And for all the reasons you said too, if you told me that they could go out and get a free agent next year, or if they had the money to play with, but it's not the situation they're in. And Sanders on my board right now, I think is 12. I think he's probably going to move up a little bit the next time I do the rankings. I think the more I watch him, the more I have a little more confidence, and I get that he's not the guy that, he's not Jaden Daniels. I get that. I understand that. We've talked about that all the time. I think you got to take another swing. And if you told me again, if I could get Carter, if you're telling me I'm definitely getting Carter and Shuck, great. Awesome. I would do that. But I think you're going to get Carter, and then you're going to start thinking about Quinn Ewers and Jalen Milroe. And maybe they love one of those guys.
But it's the first pick in the second round. You think Tyler Shuck's coming off the board in the first round?
I just don't think you could play the game. I think he could. If you're listen, I will say this. A lot of it's the market for quarterbacks, right? And you're telling me that Jaxson Dart, who we didn't think was going to be, was a fringe first-round guy, will there be 3 first-round quarterbacks this year? Now we're talking about 9 because we know it happens every year, and they go earlier. When I see that Jaxson Dart's going 9, Tyler Shuck going in the first round is not crazy to me.
No, it's not crazy, but I think it's everyone I've talked to in the league thinks it's highly unlikely. And there's some people in the league that really like him, but they think he's going to be second round.
I love you, and I know you get a lot of good information. I don't think anyone in the league's going to be like, "Hey, Todd, we're kind of interested in trading back in the first round to get Tyler Shuck."
No one gives their information. Everyone gives somebody else's information. You learn that very quickly.
I'm messing with you.
No, I know. I rarely get their information. I get what they're hearing from other teams, which is always an indicator. There's a lot of mind games that go on.
Right.
The beauty is for running back, you're looking at that need a running back. You can address that. I mean, at 33, you get Judkins if you want.
Yeah.
But it's 67. I'm getting. I think Ashton Jeanty, Omarion Hampton, and Travion Henderson go in the first round.
I agree.
I think Judkins is very early second. I think later in the second we start to see maybe a Caleb Johnson, Cam Scadaboo. Although I do wonder if there's going to be, I've said this before, hold, right? And then all of a sudden, it's going to be late second, somewhere in there, and then it's going to go Caleb Johnson and or Scadaboo, and then you're going to start to see maybe even a little hold after that. But then when you see an RJ Harvey go, then it's going to be oh shit, here we go. It's a run. Brace ourselves. It's going to go RJ Harvey. Then it's going to go Dylan Sampson. Then it's going to go DJ Giddens. I'm not saying all in this order, but it's going to be
You think that's happening in the second? Where do you think that's happening?
No, I think I'm curious to see where Caleb Johnson and Scadaboo go, and where they go, I think will kind of set the market for maybe 10, 15 picks later. Then I think it's going to be a weird run of
okay.
I mean, I'm looking at Harvey, Sampson, Giddens, Jordan James, Bashul Tootin, Damian Martinez, Devin Neal, LaQuint Allen, Trevor Etienne, Jaden Blue, Yarns, all those guys could go third, fourth.
Yeah, so if you take Sanders in with the second pick, you could still get a good edge rusher in the second round and a good running back in the third round.
Kind of though, like Nick Scorton.
You think
we're gonna see 5 or 6 edges going? This is kind of my point, and this is why we do the combo picks. So I'm cool. We're gonna get a good running back. We're not gonna get one of the top 4, but if we don't get a running back with the first 2 picks, we're getting an RJ Harvey or a Dylan Sampson, one of those guys with picks, around pick 67, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I mean, these edge guys are not going to last. Abdul Carter, Jalen Walker, Mike Green, Shamar Stewart, Michael Williams, James Pierce, Ezeruku. I get your boy Ed's going a lot higher than I think you would have expected.
Oh no, I saw
that stuff later. Okay,
I was like,
but then after that, I've got Nick Scorton, I've got Ola Dejo from UCLA, Landon Jackson. There's a drop off, man. Is my point. Yeah. I'm not pumped about getting Nick Scorton at 33 necessarily. There's better players in other positions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also consider edge is not so. This is not going to be a Cleveland Browns. I already did a Cleveland Browns show today. So we don't need to do. But I think there's a lot of good information in here beyond just Browns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that part's fascinating to me. Then we get to the Giants, you know?
How could you have the third pick and still be in a tough kind of spot, man?
I want to say this. These top 4 picks are a puzzle. But we got one of the 4 pieces of the puzzle as of today we feel like is in the right spot. But we got 3 other spots. Mm-hmm. And so if Cleveland goes Shedeur, the Patriots are in their draft room like,
yep.
Because we're getting one of the 2. There's 2 elite prospects in this class.
Yeah.
There's 2 elite prospect. Fine, you can say Jeanty 3, but like it's not a position that a lot of teams are going for that early. However you want to do it. In my estimation, there's 2 elite players in this draft. They're Abdul and Travis Hunter.
Okay.
If Ward goes 1 and Shedeur goes 2 or 3, the Patriots are, because they'll take either of those guys. They need a wide receiver. They desperately need a left tackle. But they'll take, they don't have any, they've got 2 elite players that they think they got on their team right now. They don't have any more. They've got Christian Gonzalez, who's a lockdown corner, who's got a tackle better. They got Drake May, who's an awesome rookie quarterback coming off his rookie year. So much promise, has room still to grow. But they're tracking towards having 2 elite players. Now, their roster's gotten better. They've gotten deeper. They've gotten stronger. Those defensive moves, Milton Williams is going to be a really, really good player for them. I love Spillane at linebacker. Carlton Davis is going to bring some physicality at corner and is just a good veteran, solid, reliable corner who's going to help them do some different things, blitz package-wise and all that, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have receivers, period. They don't have a left tackle that can protect their biggest asset in their franchise, one of 2 assets in that franchise on the field. But if these 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3, they get an elite player. And they get it either at a position they need, wide receiver with Travis Hunter and also corner, however they wind up working that out, or they get it at the second most important position, at a position they still need to upgrade at edge, right?
Yeah.
So that's why this is so fascinating. So let's get back to pick 3.
Yep. Who are they taking?
Right.
Who are they taking?
There's 2 parts to it because so I went through this because I'm as much as I'm selling the why. If Cleveland take my whole campaign this week is it would actually make sense, even though my grade's not that high, even though I see his flaws on tape that everyone else in the league sees. I see his brilliance in some areas, and it fits perfectly with Stefanski.
Okay.
That's my whole pitch. So if the salary cap hell they're in, it's not getting better in free agency next year. If they're drafting this high again next year, it's not the same people making the decisions. So that's been my campaign all week. And I believe that to the core. And I know that they're discussing that.
Yep.
Okay. But I've never once said they absolutely should. And I've certainly never once said I believe or I'm hearing strongly that they're going to do that. Okay.
Right.
So now you're the Giants. Let's look at this at 2 different angles. You got, again, pieces of the puzzle with these top 4 picks. It's all this top 4. Then after the top 4, then it's like the draft kind of starts. Okay. Truly. Then it's like, all right, now we get the whole bag of players in our shoulder and we walk in like, okay, pick 5, Jacksonville. Let's start the draft. Because we know these 4 players. We know 3 of the players that are definitely going in the top 4. And if it's Shedeur, we know the 4, but not exactly how they're going. So at 3, there's 2 ways we got to look at it, right? The Giants, if they have with Shedeur on the board, and then there's the Giants if Shedeur goes number 2. I think the easiest right now is to start with, let's say Shedeur goes number 2. Giants are on the board. Now you're looking, this is interesting too, because I went through the depth chart, studied the moves. They brought in a corner. Mm-hmm. Paulson Adebo, right? Mm-hmm. They re-signed Darius Slayton.
Yep.
So they have Malik Neighbors, an absolute star. They've got 2 respectable weapons, guys that can help you out, Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. All of a sudden, you got a wide receiver group of Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter, and then your 3 and 4. And that's what they really should be on a great wide receiver group, would be a Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson, right?
Yeah. That's how you're going to use him. You think he's going to be your number 2 wide receiver?
However you want to package it. I'm saying,
yeah.
I wake up one day and I go from Malik Neighbors to like Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson to Malik Neighbors, Travis Hunter. I get this piece that we can move around, do different things, and get him the ball in short.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So now that 4 is like a whole different stratosphere than those 3.
Gotcha.
But they re-signed Darius Slayton, and they brought in Debo at corner. So what good organizations do is they prepare for everything, and they try to enter a draft not being handcuffed to what their needs are. But if Shedeur goes 2, you've got the best player in the draft at the second most important position, and then on the other hand, you get this generational talent. And by the way, you got Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau at edge.
Young, by the way.
What are you doing?
If Sanders is there, I'm taking him.
No.
If Sanders is not there,
Sanders is the number 2 pick, and you're looking at the best 2 players in this draft. Yeah, gotcha. No problem. It would be just like the Giants, right?
Yep.
To be sitting at 3 and have the best 2 players in the entire draft, the 2 elite blue chip, not debatable players in the entire draft, sitting there available to you, and you're still pissed off.
It's amazing to me.
Because it's not what you truly need.
Right. Right. We can't get a quarterback. We still can't get a quarterback at 3. It's got to be mind-blowing to them. That said, Carter, I know you have Thibodeau. Listen, I know Brian Burns. He brought him in last year. I get it. Both those guys are super talented. Thibodeau was a little banged up. I'm not super worried about that.
I absolutely agree with you.
You can't have enough, man. You can't have enough.
You can't have enough.
So go get them.
And now you're in a division with Jalen Hurts, right?
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. And you got someone who can hunt. Yep. I can't imagine someone with his skill set getting past the 3rd pick.
Dak. That's why Patriots. But you got 3 quarterbacks that you got to get after.
Yeah. That's why Patriots fans, I think, Patriots fans have a good sense of reality and cannot, when they see this, maybe Abdul Carter dropping to them, I think, I live in the area, you live in the area. I think they're like, that guy, no one's buying it because he's just too good. There's just no way he drops, in my opinion.
Yeah. But I think
he could.
I think they could go Travis Hunter.
There's a world where it happens. There's a scenario where it happens that Carter goes 4.
All right. So what if Shedeur's on the board?
Then I'm taking Shedeur. Because Carter's not there anymore.
Brian Daboll deals with big, mobile, strong.
Gotcha. I know.
Not big. Has been big with Josh Allen, but even like going back to like Jalen Hurts at Alabama, like stronger arm, mobile quarterbacks. That's what he's. Mm-hmm. That's the currency that he has dealt in.
Yep. Carter's not there anymore now. You got to go. Now it's between Hunter and Shedeur, right? Is that what we're saying?
I should say this. In my mock draft, I'll just lay it out. My mock draft, I've got Cam Ward going number 1. I've got Shedeur Sanders going number 2. Okay. But I clearly stated, and it's the most important thing I can state, I believe this is a quarterback or we're taking Abdul Carter. Can you imagine if you're the Cleveland Browns, Jim Schwartz, the lobbying he's doing? I'd be like,
come on, man.
I'd be like, Kev, hey Kev, you only got to score like 15 to 20.
Right.
Like you might not like. We're going to need 14, but we may only need 15. I don't know how we're going to get there.
Right. You're way better coach than me. You're a way better coach than me, man. You're like the best quarterback coach.
Yeah, can't you get us? Can't you get us
players,
17,
man?
Can't you get us 17 to 20? Because if you do, like, who's scoring on that, right?
Yeah.
So the point in all that madness is, I think if it's not Shedeur, I truly believe it's Abdul Carter.
Right.
So yeah, back to the Giants. I don't disagree. I think it's Shedeur. They have to.
Right.
And even if they do land Aaron Rodgers, and we should mention, because it's, we're taping this Wednesday night. It's coming out Thursday morning. Aaron Rodgers, it's not going to be new news by then. It's not even new news by now. But the Minnesota Vikings are out of the Aaron Rodgers business.
Sweepstakes.
And I can't applaud them enough.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything less I would want to do than bring that to town when I'm trying to develop a quarterback that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I know he got along with Jordan Love and all that. I just, like, we need now I don't know the durability stuff. And very clearly there's an element of concern there, or else they wouldn't even be kind of, kicking the tires.
Right.
But he's out of that market. And for these purposes, that's important, because the quarterback market, and Cleveland can't afford him. And that's just not even really up for debate. The Giants, though, from what I understand, and you tell me if you're hearing different, it's really a Giants-Steelers thing.
That's what I'm hearing too.
Starting to get the tea leaves that he could be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah. Do you see what Cam Hayward said, though?
No.
He's a little tired of waiting.
I absolutely love Cam. I love Cam as a person.
He's great in media. He's a great media guy. He's
amazing.
Yep. Just tells it how it is, man.
And what did he say?
He was basically just saying, like, listen, man, I'm worried about football. He did take a shot. He was like, I don't go any of those darkness retreats. I just want to know what we're doing next year. I want to know who's going to be under center.
Yeah, I mean, that's
thing. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
You were part of the Grizzly group in a locker room. You know what that's like. I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning. I got mat drills. I get practice. I get film. I get meetings.
And he loves it, by the way. He loves it.
My knees hurt. And all, I don't come on, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Make a decision.
Why am I talking about this?
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Why? Like I've been through a lot of wars, man. I don't need to be talking about this right now. So yeah, I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it boils down to. And I truly believe this. Here's what I think I know at this point. I used to love when Peter King would call me to talk through his mock draft before every Sunday night on my drive down to Bristol before the week of the draft. It was like we had like a phone date, if you will. And it was always his mock draft, like what I think I know, or however.
It was great.
Here's what I think I know.
Mm-hmm.
What I think I know is that it's Cam Ward at 1. What I think I know is that if it's not Shedeur, it's Abdul Carter. What I think I know is that if Shedeur's there at 3, the Giants are very, very likely to take Shedeur. And what I think I know is if Shedeur doesn't go in the top 3, it's going to be a fascinating night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. That all adds up. That tracks.
Okay. So that's that. And that's why I said these puzzle pieces. And we don't have all the answers, but we kind of we got 1 in and we got 2 that we kind of know the direction. And then based on when we get to 4, it's like plug it in. Go. Now it's plug it in. It's plug it in if it's 2 quarterbacks. But if Abdul
is it
okay?
If I've said this all along, man.
Here's a scenario I think you're talking about. Here's a scenario that I think you're talking about. And I'm going to let you cook with this. Cam Ward goes 1. Shedeur goes 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, more likely. Cam Ward goes 1. Abdul Carter goes 2 to Cleveland. Number 3 is Shedeur Sanders.
Yep. To
the New York Giants. Travis Hunter sitting on the board for New England. Talk to me, Vrabes.
So Travis Hunter is absolutely worth the top pick, the top 2 picks, the top 3 picks, whatever you want to say. But this is all about scenarios, and this is all about team needs. And I think really what it comes down to is Armand Membou is a right tackle, Missouri. They just went out and signed Morgan Moses, who's a right tackle. You need to know whether Armand Membou can play on the left side. If you feel like he can play on the left side and you feel like he can be a franchise left tackle, and I do feel like that. I don't know about the left side stuff. That's why I want to talk to him and I want to see. You have a way more glaring need at left tackle, and you have to protect your franchise quarterback. There is nothing more important than that. Nothing more than that. You went out and signed Carlton Davis. Yes, you need help at receiver, but my understanding is that Travis Hunter is going to play corner, and then he's going to be involved in some packages on receiver. So that's great. But you need a number one.
I think in New England he would be a full-time receiver and maybe you utilize him like some red zone, certain situations on defense. I think it would be the reverse.
So you're telling me that Travis Hunter is going to be a full-time receiver?
In New England, I think probably with elements in the defensive side. I don't know. I'm not saying I know for
completely off guard. I still think
I see Garrett Wilson. I think he's Garrett Wilson.
Oh, I don't disagree with you.
Skills. I think he's
I don't disagree with you. Can he be a number one receiver? Absolutely. I'm not arguing that.
Okay.
If I'm coming across that way, can he be a number one receiver in the NFL? 100%. Can he be a number one corner? 100%. Is this player is he the number 2 player on my board? Yep. I get all of that. You got Drake May last year, man. Nothing is more important than protecting him. Nothing. You have to find that piece. It's not in free agency. There were a couple trades made that they weren't involved in. You got to find that guy. Now, I don't know if you're comfortable with it. What if
Travis Hunter's you're telling me, and I'm just a fan now, listen, and I'm not just a crazy New England fan, which there's a lot of, and there's a lot of crazy fans everywhere. And the fan is short for fanatics, right? I'm a well-educated fan, and I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I got you, Muench. I got. We're building. We got to build through the trenches. We got to protect our investment. But I want to play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
This son of a gun is unlike anything we've ever seen.
Agree.
He's got a chance to be a Hall of Fame player. Travis Hunter does. A Hall of Famer.
Here we go.
Because Dion didn't do it. Champ Bailey didn't do it. Charles Woodson didn't do it. Nobody's done it.
Mm-hmm.
What if he can play 90 snaps in an NFL? You've been to an NFL game recently, right? With all the commercials.
Yeah.
How much stop down there is.
Okay. All right.
No. Listen to me. I'm saying at the field, when you're sitting at home watching Red Zone, and when you're at the stadium, it's a slower, like, There's
I know
it's the college game. We watch these clips. We pull up a game. It's like 96 offensive plays.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing like 60, 65. So like, if you're telling me we can get 90 to 100, that means the whole game of defense and like 35 plays
New
on
England.
offense.
He's got to play a whole game of offense.
Okay, then 35 plays on defense.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Are you worried? If you're Mike Vrabel, the Kraft family, Elliott Wolf, that you're passing up on a Hall of Fame, generational, one of a kind, never seen before in the NFL type of talent with a young quarterback that could use a weapon and a team that needs big plays, that needs a special playmaker on the outside. They haven't had that. Like, when's the last time?
Yeah, I mean, of course you are. But to me, let's double up. Right? You want to do the double up picks, right? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that I can get Jaden Higgins and I can get my tackle, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. If you get Jaden Higgins early second round, and I can get my left tackle, let's go. Who am I getting to play tackle if I didn't get Armand Membou?
Now we're talking. Okay. Now I'm listening. Now I'm actually listening.
And Will Campbell, I'll tell you, man, I don't know. I love Will Campbell in his tape, and it's good. It's really good. I get it. You can't. It's just too tricky. It's too risky for me to take him there and assume that he's going to be your franchise left tackle. Can't do it.
You don't.
To me, there's one guy.
Let's preface this. If he had 33.5-inch arms,
no problem.
Still would be like, I'm not. Oh, you okay? I guess I'm asking.
No. No,
I've
I would.
gotten the sense from you throughout the process that you're like, I'm still not like sold. But if
Here's
he's
the
got close to 34-inch arms, are you taking him at 4 and no problem?
He's in the mix. I still think I probably like Membou more, but he's in the mix. I mean, that's really the biggest.
But there's a
issue.
comfort level that he's on the left and Membou's more comfortable on the right.
Agree. Totally understand that. And that's what the Membou catch is for me. If you think he can play on the left side, and you think he can be the franchise. And here's the thing I'll say. I don't think good GMs stay up wondering if I'm missing on a Hall of Famer. I think good GMs stay up saying, how do I make my team successful? How do I make my team? Because you think Drake May could be a Hall of Famer? My kids do. If you think Drake May could be a Hall of Famer, then what are we doing? Because if you go for the wide receiver that you think is the Hall of Famer and you don't protect your quarterback and he's taking the shots that he took last year, what are we doing?
I guess I was just raised on the concept. If I can draft a Hall of Famer as a GM, I might want to do that.
Yeah, it's great. It's again,
I'm just saying he's one of a kind. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
And we're getting a little ahead of ourselves about Hall. Yeah, thank you.
I'm just saying he's got a chance to be. Anyway,
let me ask you this. So when you talk about why he might fail, right? He's going to play. You talk about the game slowing down, and that's going to be a little bit easier for him maybe on his body. I'm saying 17 games against much bigger, much faster human beings.
No, I know.
Then you got to go, and
I'm worried about it.
3 to 4. Also missed games his first 2 seasons. Weighs 185 pounds. Kid is tough. He's played a ton of snaps in college. I'm not saying any of that. I think it's really hard to predict durability, but it is also something that you factor into the mix. I'm just saying. I think you are looking to take the best player that's going to help your team. And I do think that Travis Hunter is the second best player in this draft. But they have their franchise quarterback, and they better figure out how to take care of him. And they can find help at wide receiver early in the second.
All right, I'm literally turning the page.
Okay, let's go.
I want to get to some of these other picks. I love the conversation. There's no right or wrong right now because we won't know for a few years and who knows. But I love the conversation. And these are the conversations that are being had, And it's not just like, what are we passing on? It's what can we get if we don't go this? And now, so that to me was like all about the puzzle. Those first 4 picks are all about the puzzle. Throw the bag of players over your shoulder. Now we're walking out. Okay, pick 5. Now the draft starts. I think it gets really interesting, though, with the Raiders at 6. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about some combo picks and kind of where you can get guys. The Raiders are interesting to me in this. I look at their needs. Wide receiver, corner, interior offensive line are probably 3 of their top needs, right?
Yeah.
Unless you consider Will Campbell a guard and you want to take him at 6, there isn't a corner. Jahdae Barron, maybe. But I'm looking at this and saying, if Ashton Jeanty's there, it feels like a luxury pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we haven't earned a luxury pick, but this feels like a luxury pick. But is it? Beast mode. Didn't turn out to be a great player, but Pete Carroll was there when they drafted Rashad Penny earlier than people thought. There's a value on that running back because it's run the ball, possess it, Legion of Boom, right? Kind of that's what we're trying to build towards. It's not going to be the exact same thing, but there's an element of that with Pete Carroll now in Las Vegas. And Ashton Jeanty, we just spent 5 hours, it felt like, talking about all the running backs, and we heaped all the praise and told you there's a couple things he can improve upon. But by all accounts, it's Jeanty and Hampton, top 2 backs. And if you were to poll most GMs and personnel people, it would be Jeanty over Hampton. So at 6, do you take the running back knowing that you pick again at 37 and you could have Quinshon Judkins or Caleb Johnson or Cam Scatterbo?
Yep.
And take best player available. I also think it's interesting too. Could the Raiders trade out of this spot? Would anyone be interested to move up?
Who's moving up for That's what's so interesting about this. Everyone wants to trade back.
Yeah.
Now you've got all these players off the board. Now you've got the sack of players. So just that concept, that sack of players that are in this bunch. Who's the guy that's interesting enough for someone to trade up for? Yeah, I'd love the idea of trading back. Just finding partners is going to be tough.
Yeah, because the Jets aren't taking a quarterback. I'm thinking if Shedeur were to fall, who's trading up? I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. But it just feels like Ashton Jeanty there, doesn't it?
I like it. I do think it's funny that once you get your mindset on something, I don't think Ashton Jeanty can go early enough for you.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, I know. I just think he's one of your favorite players, and
I'm in the camp of I don't think there's a big difference between he and Hampton.
I know, but you love both of them. Like they're both. You love both, and I think you're right. Like this class, there's so much to like about it, and how early they're going to go, and it's exciting to see. Like, but again, like it comes back to do you draft running backs that early? If you're going to draft one that early. It better be a guy like Jeanty.
I love them, and yes, I like getting them off the mock. And I think, and I honestly think the fit. I would never.
No,
put any
it makes
player
sense.
Anywhere it makes more than sense. It makes more than sense because I'm looking at the rest of their picture, and that's what I sat there. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many hours I spent yesterday after collecting all the information days prior. But I really try to evaluate this, like study the roster. What have they done in the past? What's the makeup of this team? What fits? What's available? What are our other needs? Where else are we picking? That's a lot to process 32 times. So I'm like, I'm in it. And when I'm at the Raiders, yeah, it feels like, oh, it's the flashy pick. Oh, McShay wanted to throw his running back in at number 6. Get him off the board so we can get 2 in the top 10, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But tell me what other play here, if you can't, because there's no trading out. We got one trade in this mock. We'll get to it at the very end of the show. I'll reveal that. And I think it actually could happen. Legit. What's the move here? Jahdae Barron over Ashton Jeanty? Because it's rare that the running back has a higher grade than everybody else at all these other positions.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to make an argument for me, tell me a player with a higher grade on the board right now.
You can't listen. There's no player higher.
So answer my questions. I'm not. You're on the stand now. You're on the stand. No player higher.
You're right.
You're on the stand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One word answers, please.
Yep.
Tell me a player at number 6, given the way this draft has fallen, that has a higher grade than Ashton Jeanty. Okay.
None.
Also, sir, tell me a position where you can find a prospect that has a grade even close to Ashton Jeanty.
None.
I rest my case, Your Honor. That's why I get and then also the Pete Carroll, the Marshawn Lynch, the value of the running back, what they're trying to build.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They don't need a tight end. I mean, like all the other stuff too. Like I get it. It makes sense.
Jets at 7. This one's fun to me. This one's fun. Pick 7 if you're a Jets fan. Like let's have some fun here. Pick 7, 42, and 73. Not a lot of capital. Right down the middle. You pick early in the first, early in the second, early in the third. Your biggest needs, as I see them, and there are others, I would say offensive tackle, tight end, wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're sitting at 7, offensive tackle. Armand Membou's on the board. You're sitting at 7, Tyler Warren.
How I feel about this one.
Tyler Warren's on the board. I don't care. The wide receiver doesn't factor in here at 7. You can get a wide receiver like a Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. We talked about. I feel like we're only throwing out one. Like I love the slot receivers. Mitch will tell you, but Luther Burden, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Trey Harris. Like, don't get me started on Jalen Lane, by the way. He's become one of my new favorite slot receivers.
He's good, man.
Second favorite slot receiver in this draft. Third if you're counting Ibuka. So you got Membou and Tyler Warren staring at you. I've got a higher grade on. What?
It's Membou. It's got to be Membou. Okay. I can't go high enough on Membou, to be honest.
Well, let's play out the drill, son.
Yeah, here we go.
Membou, and then the thing is, you can still get a damn good tight end when you're picking it at 42, I believe, but I can't guarantee. That's the problem.
Right.
Because there's two other really good tight ends in this class, and I got news for you. If Elijah Arroyo stays healthy, he's the third best. He's the third best because he's just such a weapon. He's different.
Right.
Mason Taylor's maybe, I don't want to say the most complete. Mason Taylor's just a damn good football player. He's just a really good football player. Then there's a drop off, and there's no other tight end I'm drafting in that spot. So then that's when you go to one of those wide receivers, or you go to a different position, right?
Yep. So you're thinking Taylor or Arroyo.
Yeah, and the combo.
If you get Membou and Taylor or Arroyo,
because here's the thing. Here's the thing at offensive tackle, and let's just look at it real quick. Membou comes off the board. Will Campbell comes off the board. Kelvin Banks, Josh Simmons probably are going to be the guys that you hear in the first round. Simmons could go early second because of some stuff, but like I think it's trending towards he'll be later in the first. And pick 42, it's different. Like with Cleveland, we were talking about the first pick in the second round. The Giants second pick in the, you know what I mean? Like the Jets don't pick again to 42.
Right.
That's like 9 picks into the second. You're like you're mid second round range. So you're not like Josh Connerly's gone. The Oregon tackle.
I don't think he's there either. Right.
And I mean Urshri.
I think
it's about his range.
I'm cooling off on him too.
Okay. Well, so my point is there's a massive drop off.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get Membou and you gamble on the tight end or a different position in the second round. All right, then it brings me to the Saints. They were the hardest ones. They were the hardest team in the entire first round.
Did you want to do Carolina, or did you just want to go right to the Saints?
No, I'm just going to bounce. I think everyone knows Carolina's needs and it fits. And
yep,
I think it's a question of which Georgia edge rusher probably.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, right? I'm hearing some rumors about Michael. Jalen Walker, I've got a higher grade.
What are you hearing about? Good stuff about Michael? I'm high on Michael, man.
No, good. I'm hearing that there's love in the building from Carolina.
Yeah, cool.
But Saints at 9 are interesting because you got Kuiper on one hand with Jaxson Dart and the big splash. Let's get up and Mike Greenberg and let's 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 and let's right? But then you've got the reality that if you're not willing to take Jaxson Dart at that spot, and maybe this factors into why Mel did it. And you'd love to trade back, but he's not going to, I'm not sitting there pestering him, telling him he needs trades in the first round, so he's not going to do it until he absolutely has to. And so if it's not Dart at 9, before Dart, it would be, can I move back? Because I don't see anyone. Chicago, no. San Fran, no.
Nope.
Most likely. Dallas,
that'd be interesting, huh?
Miami, I'm just trying to think of like one of those like, oh shit, why didn't we see this? You know? I don't believe San Francisco. I don't believe Miami. San
Francisco would be a real shock.
Tua looks awfully happy and put on some guy's dad bod going this offseason.
Here we go.
I'm joking.
You're always body shaming people. No,
but his history of concussions is frightening.
I got you.
And I'm in no position to body shame anyone. But anyway, my point is I don't see another team here pulling like the Falcons type thing, but we didn't see the Falcons.
Yeah, that's what's great about it.
Right. But trade out and drag Jaxson Dart are kind of the first two things that came to mind But then it was like, all right, what's the reality? You're sitting here, no one's trying to trade up. No one's trying to trade up.
Nope.
Is a draft where a lot of people want to, unless you need a quarterback, you're targeting it early in the first or late in the second from late in the first from early in the second. I think there could be like some spot moves and stuff, but I don't see someone like coming in. And then I look at, okay, you got Campbell, linebacker.
Yeah.
Jihad, who, by the way, torn labrum surgery.
Yeah.
So now my doctor's got to be comfortable. And Campbell I had coming off the board later, but in the first. My doctor's got to be comfortable, and I'm just not comfortable no matter what my doctors say in the top 10 for a – now you get 2 strikes. You're an off-the-ball linebacker. Yes, I get it. Projecting is some edge rushing stuff too and the versatility, and I love him as a player too. But now you get 2 strikes. He's an off-the-ball linebacker by trade, and he's got a labrum.
Yeah.
And we're picking at 9. So that's out. So I kept going down the – like – they got like 40 tight ends. But if Tyler Warren's still sitting there, are you considering him? That's a possibility, right?
The value's
so again,
good.
Yeah, the value. So again, like, and I don't think you either like the quarterback or you don't. If you like Jaxson Dart and you see he's the guy, you got Derek Carr for one more year. You take, and it's a perfect time to bring in a Jaxson Dart from that system. Give him a year of NFL verbiage. You know,
these are the turning points in the draft. You can say, if you tell me what happens at 2, then I can tell you over these next picks. And then if you tell me what happens at 9, then I can go in this way. But when your mock draft gets blown up, which it usually everyone's does,
it's long gone by now.
It's a pick here. You could usually tell where those picks are going to be. They could just blow up the entire. I mean, we've done this. Todd's done the final mock for I don't even know how many years, and we would stay up all night the night before, and it was like, what are we doing? You know, like
because if you get one bit of information that changes pick 5, then you swap for, and it's like
right. The Jamar Chase year, I remember being a really interesting year. But right, you know where the sticking points are. It's just about getting those picks right.
All right, so I mentioned I just think that's fascinating. I just want to walk through because the Saints are like truly a wild card, because with all these teams, you're like, it's this or that. It feels like this or that. You know, like we know the position needs it. Like free agency, the first wave is done and the countdown to free agency is done. But with the Saints, I'm like, I don't really know. And so it opens the door for Jaxson Dart, but you don't take him because there's not a better option at this pick. You take him because he's your guy. Mm-hmm. And so if that's out and trade back's out and Campbell's out at linebacker, do I bring in a tight end? And I got like 9 of them. And two of my top three leading receivers last year were tight ends, and we just re-signed one of them. And our quarterback / tight end was on pace for 44, 46 catches last year and played in only 8 games.
Yep.
But Tyler Warren's a massive upgrade. Now we got a legitimate one.
Yeah.
Now Juwan now we flex him out. Now we get, I don't know. All right. Bears at 10. Bears at 10. How about the Chicago Bears? Ryan Poles. Way to get the drill. Okay. Way to get the drill.
Exactly.
And that's what you're saying about Drake May and the Patriots. But Jonah Jackson acquired in a trade with the Rams, right?
Yep.
Joe Tooney acquired in a trade with the Chiefs. Drew Dahlman, 3-year contract worth 42, 28 guaranteed. It's 3 parts of that offensive line. You can go line up now. You can debate left tackle, right? You can debate left tackle, and this is where it gets interesting. So now you're the Bears. Will Campbell's on the board. Your starting left tackle did an okay job, but not great. Braxton Jones in pass protection last year.
Mm-hmm.
Both your tackles are better run blockers than pass blockers, which leads me to another point. Are we trying to upgrade that left tackle to put 2 first-rounders on the outsides? Right?
Yeah.
With Darnell Wright? Or are we taking the running back? because Omari and Hampton, while he's not, Travion Henderson's more Jahmyr Gibbs, but Omari and Hampton for an organization that has a running back in DeAndre Swift, who you got one more year. Let's see how it goes, and then I think his contract's up at the end of next year anyway. Right. But if I've got Caleb, forget even the Jahmyr Gibbs aspect of it, and just looking at this team and looking at Ben Johnson's offense,
right.
And looking now, as I just mentioned, you got a bunch of old grizzly vets in the interior, and you got 2 tackles that are better run blockers than pass protectors. And now I got DeAndre Swift and Omari and Hampton, who's tap dancing in with his 4.46 speed at 221 pounds, light on his feet, fresh in his legs, ready to go. And 93rd percentile in missed tackles force after the catch in college football last year at the running back position.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's what it gives me, right? It gives me a number 1 back and theoretically, if healthy, 2 top type backs. Yeah. It gives me if one of my top backs goes down and every year in the league, like find me a guy who doesn't go down at least for 3-4 games, whatever it is. We saw it with Detroit. Right? Mm-hmm. And Gibbs stepped into that role and didn't skip a beat. But if Gibbs had to be that guy all year long, wouldn't be as fresh late in the year.
Right.
So it feels like a luxury, but haven't they put themselves in a position for, I forget the word luxury. Haven't they put themselves in position to get another piece to take this pressure off of Caleb Williams?
Yes. Yes. And I'm wondering in Johnson's system, are you thinking that Caleb Williams is going to get the ball out a little quicker? Is he going to be a little more efficient? Maybe that helps those offensive tackles. The interior offensive line they had to fix the interior offensive line. That was the goal. And they did that. They have 3 new starters, including, the 2 guards are impressive. So you had to fix the interior. Now you have a quarterback who's probably going to get the ball a little bit quicker. I think those tackles are actually talented. I would give them another year. I'm not thinking that that's a pressing need. If there was a absolute stud at left tackle here that's clean, then yes, I get that move. I don't think that player's there at this point in the draft for them, in this class.
I tend to agree with you.
And I love the idea of the mirroring of what he did with the Lions and adding another back. To me, it's interesting. I like it. And it takes more pressure. You're not only with Hampton, you're taking pressure off. I'm going
to rip through these. What if what if Michael Williams is there? And you say, I say to you, Muench, okay, you can have Michael Williams, and we're picking at 39 and 41. I can guarantee you Caleb Johnson or Shedeur. I guarantee you. Maybe you have your choice between the 2.
If I'm getting
you know what I'm saying?
That would
because on the flip, because if we're saying we're going to give our tackles one more year, on the flip, I'm saying you can have Omari and Hampton,
right,
and Oladejo or Nick Scorton if he's still there at 49 or 39. I don't know that he's going to be, but he could be. But that's the best you're going to get.
I would pause. I would definitely have to think about it.
You know what I mean?
I like Hampton here, though. I do. I think he's a good value at this point. I love the idea of 2 backs going in, but maybe that's what's skewing my vision here a little bit, or skewing my thought process.
Here's the other thing you could do. Here's the other. No. Listen to me. Listen to me. Here's the other thing you could do if you're Poles. You could take Michael Williams here.
Right.
And not need because he's developing, not need him to be a star right away, but bring 30 whatever it is, put him in a role that helps him develop. He's an asset, but he doesn't have to be the guy, right? Mm-hmm. Then at 39, or maybe you have to use a 4th or something to move up a little bit. You go get Josh Connerly, and he's not ready yet necessarily, but he's depth. He's depth. He's athletic. And now you got 1 year to see if you're left tackle and maybe trade him or however that works out. Yeah. But to get Connerly stronger so he's a better pass protecting left tackle for the future. And then at 41, you go get Cam Shedeur.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
All right, Mitch. All right. Yeah, I like it too. But these are the conversations that GMs, they're not having it right now. I should say we're only doing it because we're doing a mock draft. These are the conversations when the hay's in the barn, as everyone in the league likes to say, when the board's set, it becomes scenario time, phone conversation, especially that last week, man. I can't tell. The weekend before the draft is when I talk to the most people because it's like, all right, all right. I want to get to two quick things. One, what other picks stand out to you? Feel free.
It's actually a pick you didn't make. I went through it a few times. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah.
Where did Emeka Egbuka go in the first round? I couldn't. Did I miss it? You gasped when I suggested that he was a second round guy.
I'm blaming the editor. I did it for you, Muench. I did it for you.
Yeah. Are you going to say you made a mistake? I would love for that too. Either way, I win.
I did not make a mistake. I purposely gave you a Christmas gift in March.
Oh, here we go. Unbelievable. I'll tell you one of the picks I loved. I'll give you some props.
It gets interesting because there's a lot of teams that need a lot of the same things, and it's not wide receiver late. It's corner, it's offensive line, and it's defensive line. Not shocking, but it's a lot of corners, O-line, D-line late. And so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh. Muench is going to roast me, but I'm not going to mess around my board just to shove Emeka Egbuka in at Kansas City when they need it. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Can we say how many receivers went in the first?
Yeah, sure.
2, right?
Yep. Saw
2. That's happened in 2018 and 2019, but that's a low number, man. 2 wide receivers to go in the first. Yeah, and I
don't think it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen, but
I agree with you, but that was something that jumped out to me here. I mean, this is a low number.
When you have 3 running backs, go ahead. Anything else?
The corner group's good, man. I like the corner group, and you start looking at it. Thomas, the kid from Florida State, I won't say where he goes, but I think he deserves to go in the first round. His tape's really good, man.
He's there.
He's in there. So, I mean, when you start looking at that corner, there's some corners that I think could still go in the first round that aren't in the first round. It's a good group. I really like the corner group, so that's going to push some receivers back too. One pick I really liked. You're not going to guess it. Seattle. Seattle takes safety Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina. Your logic, though, is what really makes it great, right?
Thank you.
Mike McDonald was at Baltimore, had Kyle Hamilton, who was also a very tall safety, who was turned into an all-world player. I love that. I love the idea of Mike McDonald getting a Kyle Hamilton type player there.
I turned it in late last night.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning before I got out of bed, scrolling around, and I saw Emmanwori making visit today to Seattle.
Oh, no way.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it means absolutely nothing. He's probably visiting 10 to 15 teams, whatever it is. But it just, it was like a sign, Mitch. It was a sign. All right, last thing. We got to get rolling. Got to get out of here.
I have so many more, but go ahead.
I know. Go.
No, you got to cut me off at some point. We could do this all night.
You got to Google it. It's the McShay Report. Please, get involved, man. We got 6 weeks and the week after and the way too early mock draft. I don't know if that counts. I haven't talked to accounting. I don't know if the $4 covers that or if we're on to 2026. So you might as well double down. You got to double down. Last thing, I promised it. Trade. I made one trade in this.
I love that.
There could be more. I made one trade in here. And I tried to pick the right spot. I'm telling you right now, I feel very, very strongly that if the New York Giants do not draft a quarterback at 3, whether it's Shedeur going at 2 or Daboll just says that's not my guy at 3, that they're moving back into the first round. And they're going to try to get aggressive to get Jaxson Dart. Now, if he goes like Kuiper's got him going number 9, then they're out of luck. But I do believe a team will move in. I think it will be. I think the best chance, as I look at it right now, would be with the Giants, given their circumstances, the win now, hope for the future, all of that. I put him up from 34 to 19 with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I was looking at Tampa Bay. It's like, they got a linebacker need. Like, they have needs, but they're better off moving back. So I gave the Bucks moving from 19 to 34. And I'm going to have Bucks fans. I'm with you, man. I was at a Bucks games a couple years ago. My son's a huge Buccaneers fan. Thought it was just Tom Brady. He's a Bucks fan. He's a Baker Mayfield lunatic. So I feel you. Move the Bucks down to 34. gave them a pick, plus in compensation, I gave them picks 34, 65, which is the first pick in the third round. So that's valuable. That's basically an extension of the second round.
In this draft especially.
And a third rounder next year. I went and studied the compensation. That's about what you would get. So you move back 15 spots, you're getting like pretty same type of player at 34.
You get a damn good player at 34, man. That is a damn good player to get at 34. I won't give the name.
And you know who I gave him at 34?
You say it?
Trey Amos.
I mean, he's a guy that could sneak in. If you get him at 34, I love
cornerback out of Ole Miss, corner out of Ole Miss. So that gives you a situation where you get Trey Amos at 34. It's not much better than you're getting in 19.
Nope.
Right. And now we got pick six, the first pick in the third round, and we got a third next year. So
yeah,
keeping it rolling there for Jason Light. And I could see Jason making a deal like that.
Yeah. And it's realistic too. He could end up getting. And I did it
because we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh in the quarterback position. I don't know that Denver's going to move out of that spot. Maybe they would, but you got to get ahead of Pittsburgh.
It was a good trade. I liked it.
And I gave the Giants, I guess that's the highlight of all of this. I had the Giants moving up for Jaxson Dart. I couldn't go as high as 9, so I went to 19.
Like it. It's a good mock, man. Starting to get your mojo back. Your swagger.
Yeah, sorry. I'm feeling it, baby. I'm feeling it. I'm literally going to click off of this and go. I've got wide receivers to finish up. We're back on Monday. Mondays and Thursdays. That's a rotation until that last week of the draft, and we're going to be with you every day. We're going to absolutely wear you down, and we're going to have Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, live show Thursday, or live show maybe Wednesday night with a live audience. We're working on it. We'll see how it happens. Connor's biting his hand and wants to punch me right now for even throwing it out there. But dangle it, baby. Dangle it. Thursday, draft, all sorts of plans. We got a lot of, and I can't wait to tell you what Muench and I are doing on day 3 of the draft this year. You're not going to believe it. Oh, it's going to be a blast. I can't wait. Anyway, Mondays and Thursdays, please subscribe. Stay with us. YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Mondays and Thursdays is where you can find us, and Google the McShay Report, as Muench has told you, and I've told you. I mean, we need you here, and we're glad to have you. Appreciate it. We'll see you on Monday. Have an awesome weekend, Muench. Love you, brother.
You too,
man. Keep up the good
Love
work. I know you're in the weeds. I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah.
I see it in your eyes. You're on like
good. It's good.
I'm going to give you the type of player that Muench is working on right now. If my phone will unlock, he always does this. It's a perfect way to end. Everyone's getting ready to go. Everyone's mad at me. I'm going to give you 3 names that Muench could be working on right now. You ready?
Interesting.
I've got Muench. Depending on the position, we got wide receivers coming up, but I'm going to give you.
Yeah,
I'm going to say he's working on a player the caliber of a Robert Longerbeam, Rutgers corner. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing.
No. Right,
Robert.
That's where we are.
I could see we're done with the running backs. We get tight ends coming up. I could see him grinding out some Maliki Motevo, the UCLA tight end. And at wide receiver, as he preps for our Monday show where we're going to do our position report.
Ricky White.
Yeah, that 4.6 140 from UNLV. I could see you on
Ricky White.
I could see you on Kanata Mumfield from Pittsburgh, 4.59.
Yeah.
Possession number 5, trying to hang on
after
to that
catch guy.
Spot.
Yeah.
That's where Muench is right now. I see it in his eyes. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks, man.
Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. Or 18 plus and present in D.C. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.